experience. I have been very interested for a while in being able to tap into my inner infinite intelligence. I know part of it, you need to meditate for this. However, I have problems meditating.
There isn't anything that you need to do. There's no process that is required. But what is accomplished before that happens steadily, happens for you, it has happened for you, but before it happens for you steadily, is that you want to accomplish a sort of steady vibrational equivalency with your inner being, which means you begin to feel more and more about more and more things the way your inner being feels about those things. You can't feel a lot of doubt on a regular basis and be in alignment, or discouragement, or fear, or anger, or hatred. You got to be pretty happy.
Always.
Yeah.
I'm always happy.
Yeah.
And even when things aren't happy, I'm happy regardless, because I feel good when I'm happy. So a lot of times when I'm relaxing, meditating, I feel happy.
Good. All right. So now what are you asking about?
I just want a more detailed explanation as to how I know when I'm really truly tapping into my...
Here's the best way. So we teach meditation, as you already said, because it's the easiest way. It's the easiest way because when you quiet your mind, you stop thought. And when you stop thought, you stop all resistant thought. And when you stop resistant thought, your vibration rises to the vibrational equivalency of your inner being. So this inner being that we're describing in this vortex, who is emitting conversation, information, love, vibration, knowing, emitting it to you at all times, this strong signal. When you are at the vibrational equivalency of that, that means you're in the receiving mode. When you're in the receiving mode, then you can receive. Now, the tricky part about that, and this is what you're asking, since you're used to thinking thoughts, you are accustomed to being in the receiving mode, because when you're awake, you always are in the receiving mode of some transmission. The question is, are you receiving from the stream of thought of man's spin-off of worrisome thought? Are you receiving from what's being broadcast from cable news? No. We're just playing with you a little bit. But what we're getting at is there's lots of streams of consciousness that are offered at different broadcasting signal levels, and depending upon where you are in terms of your inner being, you can be receiving. So since you have been receiving, people who feel a great deal of paranoia, they're receiving from this stream of consciousness of worrisome thought that man spins off. And when a thought is thought, it exists forever, and so all you have to do is find vibrational alignment with it, and you can receive that thought. And so the question that you're actually asking is, how can I tell when I've accomplished this vibrational equivalency with my inner being, and I'm receiving a thought from my inner being rather than a thought from all the other places that I receive thoughts from? And isn't that a nice way to look at that? The ways that you can tell are, if the thought feels good, it's more likely that it's coming from your inner being. Another way is, and this is our favorite way of explaining it to you in a new way. Once you've quieted your mind, and we'll talk today more about the easiest ways to accomplish that meditative state with a quieted mind, but once you've quieted your mind, so you're not thinking anything except maybe about the sound that you can hear, and that sneeze, the sound that you can hear, and that laugh, the sound that you can hear in the air conditioner. Just focus upon something that, hear it? We'll listen for a minute. Not much to think about there, is there? But it is something you could focus on. So if you focus on something that you can focus on, that there's not much to think about, and you do it for a little while, 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, your mind quiets. The activity of your mind quiets. The momentum of your thoughts subside. And when that happens, your vibration rises to the equivalency of what your inner being knows. And now, what your inner being is thinking, you will receive. And the thing that's tricky, it's not tricky, but at first you're not so sure, it's translated through your brain, so it feels like your thought, feels like your terminology too. And so as it flows to you, it's the way it feels that is the strongest indicator. And often, and this is the part we like the best, It's a thought that comes to you about something that has been very important to you, but that you have not just been thinking about. So it's like an answer to a question or an idea about something. Sometimes Esther will meditate, and right toward the end, she sets her timer for 17 minutes because she wants to meditate about 15, and she figures it takes her about 2 minutes to get settled into it. And right before the timer goes off, often Esther receives a thought. It's a thought about something she wasn't thinking about, like maybe I'd like to move some furniture around in my house, which doesn't seem like infinite intelligence speaking to you. But she knows that it is because she wasn't thinking about moving furniture around. She had not even thought about moving any furniture around. That thought just occurred to her, you see. And when she followed that thought and then followed the next thought and the next thought and the next thought that came, it led to a sequence of wonderful things that all were things that were in her vortex that she'd been asking for. So, clear?
That's very clear. Very, very clear and very detailed. I love
The
it.
important thing is, don't try to make anything happen. Because when you try to make it happen, you're in the way. You want to let it happen. So you want to just be quiet and listen or feel, but don't listen too hard, because that's trying too hard. So just enjoy the sound of the air conditioner if you can.
Absolutely, because like you said before, trying too hard is never being in the receiving mode.
And then what happens is, you see, here's this manifestations, a lot of them out here that you want. But there are some things that are going to happen along the way within you and for you in preparation for that. And so you might say that you're ready to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, to be ready. And we want you to feel good in every part of that readiness rather than rushing to be all the way over here, because the rushing to be all the way over here is what messes everything up, because that's when you introduce lack and doubt and irritation and impatience to the equation, which doesn't leave you in vibrational equivalency to your inner being, does it? And so it's just a soft, steady, happy, eager, not urgent approach. It's a sort of attitude that my inner being knows what I want. The universe is lining it all up for me. I will be led to it in the most convenient and probable way that my resistance will allow. And say that lovingly to yourself, that my existing resistance will allow. Not my terrible, horrible, I should get rid of it resistance will allow. That my natural resistance will allow. My natural resistance that I'm releasing a little more every day. Because your inner being knows where you stand in relationship to everything that you want. And your inner being knows what the likely thought to lead you to it is. It's like the story we've been telling for years. Esther couldn't find her gold pin. She looked everywhere, day after day after day. We won't tell you the long version, but she looked for that pin and could not find it, and finally gave up on it. And then one day, having completely forgotten about the lost pin and about how sad she was that she had lost her important pin, completely not thinking about it at all, she was looking for a little perfume sprayer, and she reached into a purse that she'd reached in looking for that pen dozens of times, came out with the pen instead of the perfume. Because you can't find what's lost. If you believe it's lost, your belief that it is lost sets up a wall of resistance all around you that makes things that are easy to see impossible to see, because nothing's really all that real anyway. It's all your ability to translate it. What you see with your eyes is a translation of vibration. What you smell with your nose, a translation of vibration. So your inner being knows where everything that you want is, and knows where you are in relationship to it, and is offering, you may not know this, but we want you to know this, constant dialogue and direction and impulse. In other words, your inner being isn't just talking to you, it's in your body helping you move into a direction. Sometimes, do you ever find yourself moving down the freeway and you look over there for no reason and it was good that you did? Esther and Jerry would roll down the highways of the nation in their monster bus, and all day long Esther would be driving, and all day long she would not see one billboard, till all of a sudden she's looking at the RV park where they're going to stay tonight, and she would say, isn't that interesting Nothing on these billboards for the last 500 or 600 miles was noticeable to me until something that mattered. My inner being knew where I was going, what I wanted, and said, look over there. Didn't say look over there. Didn't say, hey Esther, look over there. Hey Esther, stop eating and look over there. It just looked over there. Just looked over there. These impulses just looked over there. Just changed lanes at the right time. In other words, you are extensions of this powerful consciousness, you see. Good?
Yeah. May I ask one more question, please? I'm a multitasker at heart. I love to just do multiple things at once. I love to get a lot of things done at once, because when I do this, I really truly feel like I'm in the vortex of something. I don't know what exactly, but
when you're really flowing, when you're in the flow like that, and so you can manage many things simultaneously with no urgency of needing to get a lot done, no urgency of trying to check things off your list, but just in the flow where you've got your inner being and all of these non-physical minds pointing things out to you. That's a wonderful way to live.
it really, really, truly is, which actually will bring me to the next question. So the concept of telekinesis. I've been interested in telekinesis ever since Carrie did it in that movie, ever since I saw The Sword and Stone, and I saw...
Well, describe to us what it is. What do you mean by it?
By telekinesis? Yeah. The way I mean it is the ability to be able to move objects with your mind.
Well, how about moving energy with your mind?
Absolutely.
And then see what happens.
Moving energy.
Because when you focus upon moving an object with your mind and there is doubt that you can do it, then you don't. But when you focus upon the energy, you see, we like the way these questions came together one after the other, because the question that you just were asking about multitasking is the precursor to that. Yes. Because when you're receiving all of those impulses, there's so much that is working on your behalf, but humans want to translate. Esther calls it, she'll say, oh, I got my magic going on. She knows it's not magic. She knows it's alignment, and she knows it's source energy assistance. And she knows it's her openness to follow her impulses and be in the right place at the right time so that she can optimize her experience. She understands that. The more you think about it, the more you sort of slow it down. So if you will just let those impulses flow, and let it be about the energy flowing. But what humans want to do so often, Esther calls this her magic. Humans want to see tangible magic that they can show off for others. And that messes you up. Get ready to be ready, 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 to be ready for that. And then all kinds of things will happen. Esther will say to whoever she's with at the time that it happens, the odds of that were slim to none, and yet look what just happened. Because in this vibrational world where you're asking and in alignment, there are no odds. Everything is a sure thing for you. So for just a little while, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we'd be focused upon energy flow and how that feels, rather than tangible movement of things and how that feels. Because one leads to another. How about the telekinesis of your planet spinning in perfect proximity to other planets? How about that? There's a whole lot of stuff going on that you cannot explain in any way other than there's consciousness focused. Yes?
Absolutely.
What do you think the reason is that you're interested in that? Dig deep and tell us what you really mean.
Yes. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. Part of it
Don't make it up. Don't tell us what you think we want to hear.
No.
Tell us why.
Why?
Why do you want that?
It feels really fun. Really.
Oh yeah, you know we like hearing that, but why else?
Why else? Well, aside from feeling fun, I just feel like I can get things done faster.
Yeah. But think the magic is always happening for you anyway. In other words, you don't need to show off for your friends with things moving around.
No, there is absolutely no need to show off whatsoever. It's just more stuff for my own fun. Just to
your own what? Your own proof.
My own proof.
Your own proof. And you see, that will trip you up every time, because when you need proof, you're full of doubt.
So to eliminate the doubt, just eliminate the unnecessary need for the proof.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said.